Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today.
It's Professor Presbury back again with another episode. This is part 2. This is the one where we talk about the power of a name, prestige, and ultimately what that name do. Does it even matter? Now I'm getting rained on. Now it's raining. We can still do it. Yeah, we can still do this video. So, what's in a name? Part 2. This is about jobs. The first one was about education. In my experience, yes, I do think jobs matter. If you're able to land a good job at a prestigious organization, I think what you'll find is that raises the quality level of your resume substantially. Every time that you get a job, obviously that goes in your resume, but if you get one with a good name attached to it, it's going to attract other big names. For instance, in the healthcare field, right? Health information management, allied health, all of that. There's different types of organizations. There are different sizes. I've worked in a lot of different ones. And what I'm going to say is, at least in my experience, acute care commands the most respect, right? Not respect anybody that doesn't work in acute care. I've worked in long-term nursing facilities. I've worked in SNFs, which is, skilled nursing facility. I've worked in rehabs. I've done it all, right? So I'm not disrespecting any of the places because I've been there. But what I'm telling you is, at least in my experience, acute care kind of trumps them all, right? And that's the level of intensity of the work. That's the number of beds, etc. Now, what I usually find is that you can kind of get stuck in the rut, so be careful. That's actually a different episode. Maybe I'll do a different, I'll do a different episode. Getting stuck in the rut. We'll talk about that one another time. But this one is just about, what that name do, right? And the power of prestige. When I first started out as a professor, I worked at the organization I had actually went to school at. So I was a student there, years later graduated, jumped around, did some things, came back as a professor. Now, while I did graduate from there, and I'm extremely grateful for my education and the opportunity it gave me, literally the opportunity to start in this field, in this educational field, because again, it wasn't something I sought out, but they gave me that chance, they gave me that start because I was a previous student and the connections I had, et cetera, right? What I found is it was a great job, but the name didn't hold a lot of power. It's actually raining. I'm gonna move inside. Okay, so what I was saying was, that job didn't really have a lot of clout. Was it a reputable organization? Yes. Was it a reputable school? Yes. But essentially, it was a smaller school with not a lot of money, in a smaller area. It did help me piggyback onto other organizations and other teaching opportunities. But what I found is that when I was able to really land some of those nicer teaching positions at better schools, that opened up other opportunities because those things have prestige. So they look at those things and they look at other places and they're like, oh, this guy taught here. Well, this place is pretty good. So you're basically using it like a stepping stone. And that's how it works. And that even goes with, let's say, right? So I'm not far from New York. You hear that? Hey. No, that's enough. I'm always doing something, right? The point is, I'm not far from New York. So we got the big 3 in New York, right? You got Mount Sinai, you got NYU, and you got NYP. This rain is really coming down. You got those big 3, right? In order to get an interview with any of those, you gotta have a really solid, really good interview, really good resume. I'm sorry. It does depend largely on the resume and on the type of the position that you're going for. But I can tell you with those ones, they're not just checking for anybody. Like, they're not looking for people that don't have really good experience and really good education. In order to land one of those big 3, you would really have to have really good experience, really good education. Knowing that they're prestigious, they don't really have to take just about anybody. They can kind of pick and choose because they get so many applicants, and they do kind of pick from the cream of the crop. But what you will find is that it is entirely possible to work at one of those places if you can kind of pivot yourself, if you can make yourself very much marketable and kind of get in and land a really solid interview and knock it out, then you can get there. And even that will lend prestige. You know what I mean? Like I said, I have worked as a HIM director at a few organizations now, and I had an interview with one of the big 3. I won't say which one, but I didn't get it, and it was due to my own lack of experience. I think I had at that point in time only had about 3 years of management. I progressed really far in the interview process. I had a second interview, which is more than most people get, because most people don't even get one, but I had two. And I was in the top contenders. And then I didn't get it. And I was a little bit bummed out, but what I really realized, and someone made me understand that, is they said, you know what, Javon, given that you you didn't meet the requirements, because on paper, the requirement said 5 years or more of, departmental head, director level, experience. I didn't even at that time meet that. But the fact is, my resume was still impressive enough to warrant an interview. And for that, I should be proud. And that's kind of how I feel. Like, I really understand that now. It's like, okay, you know what? I didn't get what I wanted because I wanted to be a part of the big three, something prestigious, something that pays well, but something that's prestigious. You know what I mean? And that would really open up opportunities. Now, again, like I said, I'm not in somewhere that's a slouch either, but there are different tiers of respect for organizations. And really, the only way to really know what those tiers are is really just to look it up online, see what's considered some of the best hospitals. What are the biggest hospitals? Bed size, income, how much money do they make? Do you hear about, anything dramatic happening there? And I say dramatic because I feel like, again, like I said, they don't just hire anybody. So they're going to hire people that are quality. A lot of these smaller organizations that can't afford to get these, top physicians, top nurses, top administrators, they're going to hire whoever that they can get. But these places, the ones that are, up there, they hire who they want. You know what I mean? It's completely different. So as far as prestige goes in the job market, in the job field, yes, it does matter. That last part was about education. And like I said, just getting out the gate, that helps. But in the long run, it's going to be more about your experience, what you've done, where you've done it, and how you can utilize that. So, try to take jobs that make sense. Again, look, when you're starting out, because the majority of people watching this are going to be students, right? The majority of people watching this are going to be students, and they're going to try to get in wherever they can. And I'm with that. I'll do a whole nother video about experience, and getting your foot in the door. And I'm with that very much. But at the same time, once you get to a point in your career where you're hitting your stride, you can kind of command whatever you want to do and where you want to go. And again, if you're able to get into something prestigious, maybe stay there, because even if you pivot within that same organization, there's going to be a lot of opportunity and a lot of respect that comes with that. So that's another episode of Hey Professor with Javon M.H. Presbury. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be covering more topics and everything else like that. But again, I'm just thankful that you were here, and I appreciate you. Have a good night, all right? Bye-bye.
Intelligence is not enough. Intelligence plus character. That is the true goal of education.